Thank you very much, Petra, for passing me over the presentation. So, hello everybody, my name is Andreas Zagos and I would like to present you today the results regarding patent valuation and the collateralization of patents. Very briefly, a few words about InTraCoM. So we are a consulting boutique in the area of patent valuation. We were founded in the year 2000 as a spin-off of the Fraunhofer Research Center. Our headquarters is located in Bonn, in Germany, and we have offices as well in Bonn and in Athens, where I am located. Some excerpts of clients. We work now since nearby 20 years in the industrial sector, so we delivering services for patent valuation, mostly to industrials, to Fortune 500 companies, but as well for SMEs and startups. And we are serving as well for research organizations and governmentals. So we have governments using our patent valuation data and research centers, universities, and any other type of organizations. Now the agenda for my presentation today is I will introduce to you a very short pitch, why we think that the collateralization of patents is important. I will report to you a little bit about international programs in the patent pledge. Then I will explain to you our methodology, how it works to determine the monetary value of a patent portfolio. And I will present you the process of how we think that the collateralization will work for patent lending. And at the end, I will show you as well a market perspective, which means how much revenues we expect for that certain market. Now, regarding the pitch for collateralization of patents. This picture represents very well what we're trying to do. You see the iceberg, and what we currently know about companies is very often the part which is above the sea. So this means we know a lot of revenues, employees, R&D expenditure, about the tangible assets and whatever they claim in the balance sheet. What is invisible, but is as well a very huge part of a company's value is below the sea level, and that is unknown. And these are the so-called intangible assets. Now, the impact of intangible assets in the current area where we live in the digitalization of work and of companies, we see as a result there are huge companies like Uber, which has no cars, and Booking.com has no hotels, or even Twitter has no printing machines. So therefore, the tangible assets are becoming less important. We have done a study in order to measure what is the share of the intangible assets related to other company metrics. We have taken 3 indices. The first one is the Stock 600, the Nikkei, and the S&P. And on the first row, you see the total intangible assets divided through the enterprise value. The enterprise value is determined with a sector multiple and multiplied with an EBIT of a company. And you see that even 30% of the enterprise value is currently only the intangible assets value. In the second, we have divided it through the total assets. And here you see as well that it's from 20 to 30%. If we take the third row, which is the market cap, which means that what is the market thinking about the value of a certain company, you see that it's even higher. And if you divide it through the tangible assets, you will see that the intangibles are really very much higher than the tangibles currently claimed in the balance sheet. Now, regarding instruments which are existing in the market for patent pledging, we have a look to the US, and here you see, for example, which financing entities gave IP-backed loans between the years 2011 to 2016. And you see there is a very huge amount of transactions which are performed by big banks and asset management like Bank of America or JP Morgan. If you take a look into Asia, we see that there are as well IPR pledge financing programs starting from the year 2010 in China, for example, then Malaysia, Korea, Singapore, and China has as well upgraded the current assets which are available for SMEs in order to get a loan back on the valuation of trademarks or patents. Korea has a long history in that area, and they have two financial instruments. The first one is the IP guarantee itself, and the second one is the IP loan. And these two instruments were managed to four different entities in Korea. Now, regarding the trends, we see that in China, the volume will increase very dramatically. We heard even from President Xi that he announced that the appraisal companies in China have to perform the valuation of patents in order that SMEs receive loans. For next year, in the year 2020, approximately 14.5 billion on US dollar will be in the market for patent pledge loans. In Europe, unfortunately, there is no current program existing. So that is as well the reason why we were looking to set up an own financial instruments based on the CoraPatent solution. Now, regarding the patent valuation methodology itself, I would like to introduce to you how it works. The methodology is based on indicator approach, and it works with two steps. The first step is an automated valuation, and the second one is a manual. Now, how the automated patent valuation works is that at the core we have the patent raw data. This means that we receive the patent data from different patent offices and can cover all Western or all global countries. Further, we receive business data and economy data from different other data providers. Based on that data silos, we develop different indicators, and we have up to 27 indicators which were built over the patent metrics. Based on that, we have a fuzzy pattern algorithm, which is the core of our methodology. The fuzzy pattern algorithm is based on real transactions in the market between third parties with no tax implication. That means that we have over 2,000 single patent family transactions where we know the market price, and those patents were analyzed with the same indicators and determine then at the end the value. These are used to train an algorithm which is then applied over all the alive patents globally. Combined with business data, where we know, for example, how big is the company with its total assets or its amount on employees, we can generate the total IP value range of every patent family and as well for every company, even on the holding level. An analogy how we do this is similar to real estate valuation. Real estate valuation works that we have as well different indicators, like, for example, a location, a square meter, and a year of construction. And we have a reference data set of real estate transactions. And by comparing those indicators with the real estate transactions, we can determine a value range. And that is exactly what we are trying to do. So we have as well indicators, for example, number of citations, backward forward citation, IPC class size, the patent family size, and much more, and have a reference database of patent transactions. But like Warren Buffett always says, price is what you pay, value is what you get. We are determining value and not the price, because the price is at the end of the day depending on exogenous factors. For example, if a company is going into bankruptcy, then the value of the patent portfolio will be less. Or if somebody wants to buy a strategic patent, he will be able to pay a premium. Now, the result of our methodology is that we have a big data processing technology. The processing time takes approximately 12 days for one evaluation step, and we have currently over 30 single evaluation steps which are performed parallel. This leads to a total duration of approximately 3 months until we have valued all the alive patents globally. Currently, we perform the valuation 4 times per year. We are working on an update or an upgrade of our technology and delivering it in a frequency of 1 month. We cover over 160 countries globally, and the patent data are linked to 774,000 active companies globally. Approximately 57.6 million of live patent families are linked to assignees. So we have a global coverage. Now coming to the next topic, which is the valuation of patents for lending. We have defined that certain process, which is the collateral default risk quantification model. First of all, we take our database of valued patents. Why do we take this? Because we can determine easy if a patent portfolio or a single patent family has a certain value, which makes then the manual patent valuation then more efficient and cheaper. Then the second step is the manual patent valuation, and this is based on different default risk factors. For example, the technical feasibility, if there is a know-how transfer, due patent transfer, possible nullification against the patent, and many more risk factors which have been determined in order to be able to have a certain patent value in the case of a default. Because if we have a default, then we have a certain problem that the know-how about the patent itself does not exist anymore in the company. Therefore, we say that we have the abbreviation of the patent value, and so we can determine a collateral patent value, which will be, of course, lower than the market value of a certain patent family. So here we have first auto rating, which is the base for the value of the patent family, and then we have the option rating itself. Now the option rating is the manual rating, and I will show to you how it looks like. So here you see the platform where we can have an additional manual valuation of a certain patent or a complete patent portfolio. So we can take a real case. We are allowed to show, so with our client, which is a unified inbox, disclosed us that we can show this. So here on the left, you see the different patents that they have. And if we take that certain patents, we have as well a certain value based on that patent, which is shown here. So here we see the value range for a certain patent, which is here, for example, from 137,000 euros to 205,000 euros. This value is determined automatically based on our first step, which is the auto rating. What we have developed now inside our project, the Cora project, is here that we add a valuation scope. And this is, for example, the patent mortgage. For the patent mortgage, we will be able, we have here, no, I have to change it. So we have here different areas where we need to do a manual evaluation for that certain patent. Here we see the categories, and on the right side, there are different questions regarding the patent portfolio and the patent family. We call this option rating because you have only one option which you can choose. And if there is a trade-off with another option, then it's gray, for example, if there is a conflict with another option. So that means that here we have to go through the complete list, and then we will be able to determine the value of the patent family based on a possible lending. And if we go back to the report, you see that first value here was based on the automated rating. And if we look here, for example, we have a default, which is then from 85,000 to 150,000. That means that we would say that here, on average, this patent family could be a collateral patent value of 117,000 euros. So now, how looks the process of evaluating patents of lending? So our idea is described in that process. For example, a company, ABC, is going to the local bank for a loan. Then the bank determines, first of all, the possible loan height. In case that the company has patents, we will make a first due diligence. And the first due diligence is based on the automated rating in order to see if there is enough value inside the patent portfolio in order to perform the second step, which is then the manual valuation. And this takes much more effort and time. If then the client accepts the conditions, the next steps will be taken. We have to do the extended due diligence, which is the manual rating, and then to determine the collateral patent value. The CQS will have a security bank which will back up the amount. And Cora will give the offer to the client of the bank. The client will sign up the loan contract with the bank, receiving the loan minus an upfront payment to Cora for the next issues. We have to make a patent insurance for the duration of the loan, and the patent insurance will cover as well infringement, but as well other issues if somebody is opposing against the patent family. The client has to transfer the rights of the patent to the Cora consortium. Then we try to make a grant back license agreement between Cora and the client. That means that the client will, of course, be able to use its own patents. We will take care of the fee payments of the patents, and these costs will be charged to the clients yearly. An upfront payment of approximately 5% of the loan will be held back at Cora for the default case. Cora can start licensing if the client agrees to do this, and as well monetizing activities for generating revenues based on the patents and for the securitization of the loan. Now, what happens in a case of default? If a company ABC has a default and they can't pay back the loans, then of course Cora has to give the loan giving bank the security based on the agreement, but will receive as well the patent assets from the company, and they will be triggered immediately to monetization. Therefore, it is important that when we sign the contracts with a company to collateralize the patents, we start immediately with licensing activities in order to be able to know to whom we could sell the patent in the case of default. Now, the upfront payment, which has been settled in the beginning of the contract, will be used then to keep the patent alive. Normally, this should last for 2 years. And Cora will offer the patents directly to existing licensing partners or potential buyers. And therefore, Cora will receive the part of the loss from the security bank back. That is the process, how we think that the collateralization will work in the market. Now, regarding the market perspective, some statistics from the year 2018. We have good data from Germany, and we think that for Europe 28, there is minimum 200% more based on companies and amount on patents. Now, in Germany, in the year 2017, we saw there was a volume about 1.4 trillion euro to the German industry from banks. We have analyzed how many companies are registered and how many of them have minimum 10 patents, and which have minimum a patent value over 500,000 euro, because below of 500,000 it would not make sense to continue the collateralization, because the costs for valuation and for the complete process would be too high. Now we have determined that the equivalent amount on loans for the target groups we estimate to 2.8 billion euro, which could be brought into the market due to the collateralization of the patents. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope it was interesting for you. And if you need further information, please visit our CoraPatent website, and you can go as well to our website www.intracomgroup.de. I will pass now to my colleague Roland, who will give you a deep view into the Privé platform.